Hello YouTube, and welcome back to Steel Forest Welding and Forge. Today, I'm going to do an unboxing video on this Klutch heavy-duty welding table and fit-up table. I got a request from a client for a build that my old janky welding table that I built behind me before I had any really good tools just isn't going to cut it. So I need a table with some flat surfaces. We're going to give this guy a go. I got this guy at Northern Tool and Equipment for $189.99. It was on sale. Hopefully it was a wise investment, so we're going to go ahead, open this bad boy up, put it together, and see how it looks. I'll tell you right now, whoever built this either is getting paid too much or not enough. I can see I have porosity in this weld and that weld. So I might end up repairing that myself instead of taking it back. So the company that I work for, we do our own powder coating, so I see a lot of powder coating. This isn't too bad. I can tell you one thing though, that when they cut the steel, they didn't spend enough time deburring the edges. When I run my finger down the edge here, I can feel how the powder coat didn't wash out evenly. That's probably because this edge was kind of sharp. And powder coat does not like to sit well on sharp edges. I can also see some bubbling here on the inside. If I'm guessing, the way they hung it was probably by this guy here, so I have a feeling they didn't get the powder up in there very well. So these are the legs that are used if you want to just use this table and put it on top of an existing table. And actually that might not be a bad idea for my situation. Then I don't have to worry about finding a spot for this table. But if I don't, got some nice legs that I can use for another project someday. It looks like the tabletop has just this thin layer of really cheap foam. And that's the only thing between this tabletop and the other side of the cardboard. So I highly recommend that if you buy one of these, check the bottom when you turn it over to see if there's any big cuts in the cardboard or bangs, because if you want a nice tabletop, chances are it's probably going to be damaged, whereas if you see damage to the top of your case, you're probably just going to have some scratches on the table frame. And to me, it's not a big deal. Alright, you know what, that's not too bad looking at a tabletop. So this is advertised as 1/4 inch. It looks like it is in fact 1/4 inch. I can tell you from experience, anything under a 1/4 inch does not serve well as a tabletop. Just too light. I built many welding tables in my day for many different companies. Anytime anyone's ever recommended something under 1/4 inch, I always cringe and tell them it's not going to work. Most of the time they listen to me, sometimes they don't, and they end up with a janky welding table. Alright. So that looks pretty flat. My big concern was that maybe they would put some giant welds on here and cause this thing to swell or swill. I do think I see a raised edge here. That might put a bit of a swill in here. But as far as the welds go, you can see here they just stitched it in a couple places, which is exactly what you want to do. You want to stitch a tabletop like this, something you're going to be fabricating on top of, because it will warp on you. So whoever did that or made that decision, that was a wise decision. I can kind of see some BBs in some of these holes. Looks like their cleanup crew or whoever chips their BBs does kind of a quick once over, then probably sends it down the line. Let's look at the back. All right, so Looks like they used, I'm guessing that's 11 gauge tubing. Not bad. 1x2. That's some pretty beefy stuff. They did not cap the tubing off. I am not a big fan of that. You get stuff in here. This can rust. Whenever I buy a product like this, I would really prefer the corners either be 45s, so that it's completely sealed, or that the caps, or that there's some kind of plastic cap on here, or a metal cap that's then beveled, welded, ground flush, and then palm sanded. But the welds in here look okay. You know, again, I see BB, so I'm guessing it was some kind of MIG welder. Pretty small puddles. I mean, that's barely half an inch. I probably would have gone an inch on these at least. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 per quadrant. Yeah, I'd say that's probably good enough. All right, let's go ahead and put it together. I'm probably going to put it in a time lapse so you guys don't have to sit and watch me do this. Okay, so when I thought it was a 9/16 bolt head and a 1/2 inch nut, that was kind of irritating, but whatever. Turns out it's not 1/2 inch, it's 13 millimeter. Okay, Klutch, please do not mix standard and metric sizes on your hardware. Come on, really? Don't do that. One size, please. So first impressions of this table, it went together very quickly, maybe 20 minutes max, which is a pretty good put together time. It does feel solid. It does not move very much. I was a little bit concerned because the top is so heavy and these legs here are not heavy duty at all. There is one thing I do not like about it, and that this frame goes all the way around. This makes it very difficult to scoot up and sit down if you're going to be TIG welding, which is what I primarily do here. So what I may end up doing is somehow bolting this frame onto the legs and then removing this section here of the frame. And that may make this table a little wobbly. We'll see. Now, as far as how good the surface is, we're about to find out. I haven't checked yet. So I'm just going to take this 2-foot square, slide it on the table and see if I can see any light going to the bottom of it. So I can see just a hair of light coming through it. Almost all the way down the middle. So, is this table flat? No, it is not. Not as far as detailed fabrication standards go, which is what I'm going to be doing. So, until I have $2,000 to spend on a welding table, this is going to have to do. And this is still an improvement from my old welding table. Let's check it this way now. Okay. So I don't see any light. Granted, this does not go all the way across the tabletop. So this way it looks pretty good, but this way, there is definitely some swill in the middle of the tabletop. It starts about right, it's about right in here, right in the very middle. If I had to guess, I'd say that that's probably from when they welded it, either warped or maybe there was some kind of debris on this metal frame that maybe they probably, they probably built the frame first, welded it up, then it probably warped a little bit, and they probably just clamped this table right to this frame and then sent it down the line. Again, in the world of tooling, you get what you pay for. For $200, this isn't too bad. So I'm going to go ahead, take out my old welding table, put this guy in, and I think we'll give some of the fixtures a try just to see how they work. Well, I've got the new table in place. There was one problem right off the bat. This table is significantly lower than my other table by quite a few inches. So with my garage stool here, my knees just barely fit underneath the lip of this table. So I'm probably going to have to buy a different chair, but not a big deal. One thing I can say though is that it's a nice work area. There's plenty of work here for projects of the size that I work on. It's a lot nicer having a solid tabletop versus the old tabletop I had with the slats for the clamps. I don't have to worry about parts falling through my tabletop anymore, which happened very frequently, and it was very frustrating. So let's take a quick look at some of the fixtures that they provide. So one fixture that they provide here are these stop blocks. Excuse me. Now, these stop blocks are these machined pieces of aluminum that you take this threaded adapter with some magnets on it. You take this and put it on the bottom of your tabletop. It's kind of nice they put some magnets on there. It sticks right up there. You don't have to hold it and try and find the holes. And it has two threaded holes for these bolts. Now, the one thing I don't like about these is that you need pretty much one, you can only use one bolt and one of these per stop block. I mean, right here, if you need more than two of these blocks, you don't have any more of these hold downs. You kind of limit it to one per stop block, which I'm not a big fan of. But the way you would use them is perhaps you have a part here whose depth and height is set. You can take your part, slide it right up there, and you don't have to measure every time. So for example, maybe I have this block here. This has to go here. I have to weld it onto here. Now my depth, height, it's all set. I can go ahead, tack this together, and I know I have the proper dimensions. They also come with these clamps. The way these clamps work, you take this post and you bolt this to the bottom of your tabletop. Tighten that down. Then this clamp comes down. And now you can push down the back here and clamp down, and your part is pretty secure. So these I kind of like. They're not bad. They're a little cheap. This plastic handle here, I guarantee you drop it once, it's probably going to break. But again, you get what you paid for. And to be honest, it's not too bad. Next, we have these blocks here that are to be used. These blocks fit into the holes in your tabletop. And from these, you can mount what are called these V-blocks. These V-blocks are used for holding tubing or piping. Piping or tubing is not going to sit flat on your tabletop. In fact, we'll go grab it. Here we go. So this guy, have on the tabletop, kind of work on, so roll around, put it on here. Pretty secure. And what you can also do now, again, is you can take one of these, probably clamp on top of here, and it's not going to move. This is also will make finding a top dead center a lot easier as well. So these aren't too bad. I kind of like them. I wish they would give more of these blocks here. They only give you 4. for tabletop, and they give you quite a few of these guys. So there you have it for the fixtures on this fixture table. I'm going to go ahead and do a quick little weld here and a quick little scribe on this part here, and we'll see how she feels while I'm welding. Alright, so I'm getting ready to tack this guy onto here and weld it. I get to actually use one of the fixtures because the cut on this was so nice. I managed to square it so nicely that I don't need to tack one corner at a time. The chair that I have is just way too tall. I'm actually sitting on a 5-gallon bucket right now, so the only downside of this table so far is that I'm going to have to get a different chair. Your standard like shop chair is just way too tall. Also, I use a foot pedal for my TIG welder. I don't have a button, so I'm going to be sitting on a 5-gallon bucket trying to use a pedal. We'll see how that works. Alright, I gotta say, having the fixture there is kind of nice. I didn't really think I'd need one right away, but hey, what do you know? Go ahead and take that off, get it out of the way. Let's go ahead and weld this guy up really quick. My knees are hitting that frame I mentioned earlier, so I do see that being an issue. It seems to me this table was made to be used while you were standing up, not sitting down, which, you know, if you have a MIG welder, that's fine, but a TIG welder, you definitely want to be sitting. So, that so far is the only downside. Let's go ahead and bake this bastard in. And something's vibrating. Must be that ground. The magnetic field is making something vibrate. I'm not sure what it is. That's a little annoying. And now all of a sudden it's gone. Alright, all tigged up. Gotta say, having that nice flat table is pretty nice for a change instead of that table with holes in it. I got some decent color in there. I baked the heck out of that thing. I don't want that thing going anywhere. So here are my final thoughts on the Klutch Welding and Fabrication table. Overall, I like this table. I'm glad I bought it. I believe it's going to serve my purposes very well. My biggest issue with it is the height. Most welding tables that you find in the professional world are going to be bar heights, except of course for acorn tables. That's a different discussion. Those are completely different. The reason for that is so if you're TIG welding, you can scoot up under the table and weld underneath it. So this table, unfortunately for me, is way too short. I'm gonna have to purchase a different kind of chair, which isn't a huge deal, but if I want to be comfortable, that's what I'm gonna have to do. My other big concern is, again, this frame down here. Now, this would work well for tool storage, which is why I'm assuming it's here, but for me, again, I can't scoot up under the table to do my TIG welding. So I'm gonna have to somehow modify this part so that I can scoot under the table. And it's nice to have a product that I can use straight out of the box, but even just looking at the box, I had a feeling this was going to be an issue. The fixtures, they're not too bad. I kind of like them. I wish that it came with more of these stops. To be honest, only 4 stops like this really isn't a whole lot for a fixture setup. I would want at least 8 to have a decent fixture. But still, they're not too bad. I do like how these threaded inserts are magnetic. They stick to the bottom of the tabletop. You don't have to worry about them falling off or moving around when you're trying to set up. These clamps, again, a little on the cheap side. You drop this once, this plastic is probably going to break, but they fit into the tabletop pretty nice and snug. As you can see, I used it for the very first part that I welded on here. The tabletop is sturdy. Once I leveled the feet out, it does not move. It barely moves. So a very secure tabletop, nice beefy top. It's 1/4 inch, which again I mentioned earlier is the bare minimum I would use for making a tabletop. There was one other issue I had with this. When I was leveling the feet out, the nuts that are on the back of the leveling feet, you cannot fit a wrench or a socket in there. I don't have a single tool here that fits in there very well. Maybe a small adjustable wrench will. So for the time being, I haven't tightened them down yet. And to me, that's kind of irritating that you can't even fit a wrench in there. That seems to me like an engineering flaw. Overall, if I were to give this guy a rating for what it's worth, I would give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I like it. I would recommend it. I'm going to keep it and continue using it. Comparing this to more of a top-of-the-line tabletop, like a Blue Coat tabletop, maybe I would give it 2 stars, but Blue Coat tabletops, those are some of the best. So, there you have it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please visit my Etsy store, which I keep saying is going to be open soon, but this time I actually mean it. Thanks.